protecting our liberty.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Your Right to Know, brought to you by the Fitchburg Republican City Committee. I'm going to be your host, and with me, as always, is my lovely co-host, Mary Lotze. How are you doing tonight, Mary?
I'm doing very well, thank you, Andrew.
So tonight we have a panel discussion regarding the upcoming presidential election in 2024, Trump and Vance versus Harris and Walz. Tonight, our panel guest is Dave Lunger from Acton, Mary Gagnon from Ashburnham, John Strang from our own John Strang from Fitchburg, Ken Wood from Shirley, and Lorraine Rudd from, Ken Wood from Shirley and Lorraine Rudd from Lunenburg. How is everybody doing tonight?
Fine, thank you.
Andrew,
Okay.
you missed the last time that we had the panel 2 months ago. You were busy.
I
in
was busy.
Boston.
I was coming in from Boston, and I was stuck in coming out of Boston in traffic.
Play-by-play of
Yep.
where you were.
Yep. So again, we said that we were going to talk about the presidential election in 2024. Now that all candidates have been identified, and so good evening to all you guys, and welcome to Your Right to Know by the Fitchburg Republican City Committee. You have just been on our show not too long ago, but why don't you go ahead and reintroduce yourself to our viewers?
Dave.
Dave Lunger. I'm Dave Lunger from Acton. I'm the chair of the Acton Republican Town Committee and also on the state committee from the Middlesex Worcester District.
Mary Gagnon from Ashburnham. I was a former RTC chair. Now I'm the Trump Town Captain for Ashburnham.
John Strang, I'm the chairman of the Fitchburg Republican City Committee.
Ken Wood, I'm chair of the Shirley RTC.
Lorraine Rudd, I'm the secretary of the Lunenburg Republican Town Committee.
All right, so my first question, now that we know who the presidential race will look like in 2024, Republicans Trump and Vance against Democrats Harris and Walz. Now we also know that Robert F. Kennedy has left the race, and both he and his VP pick have endorsed Trump and Vance for president. Straw polls right now, who will win in November? Let's take this right down the line. What do you think?
I think it's going to be a landslide for Trump. I see this election kind of in tandem with the 2020 election that was stolen. They were caught stealing it, and this time around, retribution, as Trump says it.
Yep.
Mary, what do you think?
Trump, Vance. Oh, absolutely.
I agree. In fact, I just happened to run off a poll that came out today from Nate Silver, who's usually pretty reliable, and he shows a dramatic turnaround. Harris pulled 57% on August 14th against Trump, but today it's reversed. Trump's margin is 52.4 against Harris, 47.3. I know you have doubts about polls, but I think we know from experience that the media try to discourage us with a lot of polls in favor of their person, which is Harris. But I think Trump is going to win, yes.
Well, the last 4 years have shown that elections do have consequences. And based on that, Trump will win.
Very good. Trump in a landslide. The Harris-Walz duo is just ridiculous. People are going to see it. They just don't have anything.
I like that word. That's a very good word. I actually like everything you just said because I'm very fearful of where the American people are going to go. They're going to fall for the nonsense. What do you think, Andrew?
Oh, I think, yeah. Unfortunately, the Democrats are producing just a bunch of nonsense. There's been no policy that Harris has put forward. And basically it's almost like 2020 where she's running her campaign out of the basement, just like Joe Biden did.
And the media is allowing her to get away with it.
Yeah, and even Quentin Tarantino. He was on an interview, and he was saying, you know what? It's all about winning. I hope she never speaks to the public. I hope she never does an interview because they know if she goes out. I mean, look at the interview that she's going to do tonight. It's pre-recorded. in CNN. I mean, let's face it. It's going to be a softball interview.
That used to be called the Clinton News Network.
The Clinton News Network, right? And in addition to that, she's bringing her well, let's face it, her whoopee. Basically, it's her safety blanket. And that's Walz. So obviously she does not have what it takes to be able to do a hard-hitting interview. And I think it's also funny that she refuses to do a debate with Fox News as host because she's not going to be able to handle it. So I think the American people are going to see through the smokescreen, and that's exactly it's a smokescreen.
Well, they didn't 4 years ago, so let's hope they see it now.
So, guys, what do you think about Trump's pick of J.D. Vance as his running mate?
I actually am not a Vance fan. He has some troubles in his past. He referred to Trump as the American Hitler. Mm-hmm. His association with Peter Thiel, Ambrosia company that makes blood, young blood transfusions. Very, very shady in my mind. I see him Trump's pick of Vance kind of like Trump's pick of Pence. He pulls people in and then exposes them. So I don't know that Vance is there for the duration. We'll see.
You think he was picked based upon where he's from, in order to get that to secure that state?
Trump pulls people in that have trouble past, and like he pulled people in and then they eventually turn and then eventually support him. I mean, he picked. With DeSantis and with Vivek. Vivek was a World Economic Forum kind of guy. So there's something going underneath the covers here, and I'm on the edge of my seat waiting to hear what it is.
Maybe it'll be the October surprise. We don't know. All right. What about you, Mary?
Oh, I was hesitant about J.D. Vance, even as a candidate. I had somebody else in mind, but he didn't pay attention, I guess. But, since Vance has been out in the public, I think he's a very good speaker. I think he's different from Trump, but I think he's good for the campaign, to tell you the truth. Like I said, I was very hesitant, but I'm sold on him. Also, I read the Hillbilly Elegy, and that kind of sold me on him also. So I like him,
Do you think that Trump picked Vance based upon his youth to kind of balance out the ticket?
Possibly. Yeah, it's a good chance. But who am I to question Trump, his decisions, I'm going to trust him that he chose wisely.
John, what do you think?
Well, I have a sort of vested interest in this because I'm an ex-Ohioan. I lived in Massachusetts for almost 20 years before I considered myself anything other than an Ohioan in exile. But I think that Vance is a normal human being. Those who call him weird are the weird ones. He's a normal, respectable human being who has proven credentials, and I think he's a great asset. I think he's also good on his feet in debates. Yeah, so I'm in favor of it.
What do you think, Ken?
Well, Trump had a very deep bench to choose from. He had 6 or 7 people that would have made excellent vice presidents. And J.D. Vance has a great personal story. He's an ex-Marine, went through Ohio State in 2 years, on merit made it into Yale, went into business, was very successful, ran for the Senate and was elected. And he seems to be a genuinely good person, good family man, good values. As John says, he does think quick on his feet. He's good before the camera. I think he's the real deal.
Yeah, I like him. I didn't know anything about him before. I was a little question, like David mentioned, some of his business background, but he's very quick on the reply. He's good friends with Eric and Don Jr. That meant a lot to Dad. So I think as a team, and they are a team, that family, he came into it. I'm a little worried his kids are so young. I hate to see anyone in D.C. with young kids, but it's a tough family. I think they've been through a lot, and give them a chance. We'll see.
All right, so next question. It appears that the press and the media have made it a point in the Democratic Party, and they're working hard to remake Kamala Harris. I mean, she has gone from a lightweight politician, further to the left than Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren, let's face it, with absolutely no accomplishments. She's got nothing to run on. But now, after a dismal record with her 3+ years with Biden, to now being depicted as almost like, sent from God, with somebody who has strong beliefs and convictions, and she's actually trying to turn the narrative over where she's a moderate, she's, more conservative. But when you look at her record, she's just flip-flopping all over the place. You got, her flip-flop on the fracking. She stole Trump's idea about, the no tips. So what do you guys think of that?
I think she is so awful, and I think that what's happening is we're watching the real-time controlled demolition of the Democrat Party. There's just so much bad. I mean, look at all the Democrats that are now switching over, like Tulsi Gabbard. RFK Jr. is on Trump's side. And I think we're going to see more of that. We're watching the demolition of the Democrat Party as we speak. Well,
I mean, you take a look at the, you look at some of the labor unions, and of course the higher level of these unions, they're dyed-in-the-wool Democrat. They're never going to change, but the actual workers, they're turning against the unions themselves. Mary, what do you think?
I think she's as dumb as a rock, myself.
No offense to rocks.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I think I've met smarter rocks.
And don't forget the border wall. Now she's going to build the border
that's
wall.
true.
I actually think before November comes, she'll vote for Trump.
Yeah.
I think that's a plan.
Yeah, the New York Post, they had her with her MAGA hat.
The MAGA hat,
And then somebody else mentioned today that if you want to see Kamala's policies, they're going to refer you to Trump's website. So, no, I can't even bear to hear her speak. I really can't.
Yeah.
Not that we hear her speak that often, but I really
More
can't.
laughs than
Yeah.
But has anybody noticed that all of her speeches are just canned speeches, and they're the same one after another, after another, after another?
Yeah.
And
So-
they're circuitous. I mean, she keeps going in the same circle, about the hope and the change we hope to have, and it's just nonsense.
Well, it's all the joy.
Yeah.
Come on.
Not being bound by the past.
Yeah.
Yeah,
John, what do you think?
As you said, she's flip-flopped on virtually everything. She was against the wall, now she's for the wall. She was against fracking, now she's for fracking. She was in favor of Medicare for all, which would destroy our private insurance system. Now she's against it. She's come out with these policies that are essentially eliminating police departments. Now she's for it. She's now against banning gas-burning cars, but that's something she was previously in favor of. So she flip-flops all the time. If we had a remotely honest media, they would point this out, but they just allow it to go on.
No question.
It just shows us what we're up against in the media, that they just can't be trusted.
Yeah.
Well, my question to her is, will the real Kamala Harris please stand up? As John said, she was for fracking. I mean, she was against fracking, now she's for fracking. She was against the wall, now she's for the wall. She is totally indebted to the transgender alliance and everything else. She now wants to put a tax on unearned income. It's just one thing after another. And also, 3 months ago, she had a 32% approval rating. Right now, it's up around, 53 or 55. The multimedia has done a wonderful job of propagandizing and remaking her, really. Talk about a fake candidate.
Yeah, it's deception of the highest level. Our media, Dave talked about the Democrats going down. I think the media is going down as well. they can't do anything right. They're just not revealing anything that we see. She was doing the Kavanaugh hearings and going hard at Kavanaugh, and she was making her arguments, and she was off base, but she at least could speak. This woman, it's like she's on drugs. I don't know. She's silly, and I don't know what happened to her. I don't know if she's been told to act that way so she can pull a fast one with all her Marxist thoughts. I don't know. But she's dangerous.
I think that's one of the things that's probably the biggest fear is that we know, I think we have it on good authority that by her own actions that whatever she's saying today, if she were to ever assume presidential office, she would revert to her communist, and I'll use the word communistic tendencies, and that's exactly what we would get. So let me ask you this. 2 weeks ago, we had the Democrat National Convention, and it was in Chicago, and it reminded me in many ways of the '68 convention in Chicago, the Democrat convention, because there was certainly no loss for riots in the streets and things like that. But again, the media really covered any of that up, and you didn't hear a lot of it. But President Biden spoke the very first night, and they put him on almost at midnight, and he rambled on for 40 minutes or something, and then he was gone. He literally left the building and flew off to California. Now, who's running the nation? We saw it. This is 2 weeks later. She's flying around the country running her campaign, and he's sitting on a beach in Rehoboth. He's come back from his vacation in California only to extend another vacation. Do we have any sense, do you feel confident in this world of horror right now that we have, where there's so many literal fires happening everywhere, that someone with a sane nature is running this nation?
No, corrupt.
They haven't had a cabinet meeting since last October.
I think now we know why our defense secretary never told anybody he was ill and going to the hospital, because he had the sense, I think it was pretty widespread, that nobody would care. So don't even bother reporting it. Okay, so the second thing that I have is we always heard, and Kamala Harris supported it, that President Joe Biden was as smart as a tack, the smartest man in the room. He could outrun any of these young news media people that were interviewing him. He was just smarter, faster, quicker than anybody. Who was lying?
All of
Well,
them.
Kamala has a tough situation here. You know, Biden was like incredible and perfect and,
Yeah.
you know, a saint. And now
She's
she
got
has
to pivot.
Now she has to say, I'm going to do all this on day one. Why didn't Joe, the perfect man, do it for the
Right.
last 3.5 years?
Right.
But this furthers my thought that we're watching the demolition of the Democrat Party. And, you know, 8 years ago, James Carville said that we're looking at the death of the Republican Party. I think it's now, the tables have reversed. And now,
Mary.
Well, we have to have people wake up to get it reversed, unfortunately, and there's a lot of people that aren't woke, haven't awoken. But yeah, I mean, we all saw it long before the debate. We all knew.
We knew back in 2020 when they hit him in the basement and used COVID as the cover-up.
Absolutely. So, you know, it's Pravda again. You know, they just cover it up. They covered it up, and then after the debate, they couldn't cover it up. I watched that whole debate. I saw CNN. I was watching on CNN, and they were like, he's got to go. He's got to go. We've got to get rid of him. And then within a day, it kind of changed a little bit. You know, it wasn't quite so urgent, but
John.
yeah, they knew.
Well, I'm going to say something in behalf of Kamala, and that is that, after all, she is an instance of somebody who pulled herself up by her bra straps.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
You know,
Good one, John.
and ask Willie Brown about that. I mean, take my word for it. No, she's a nothing, a moral nothing. She's an intellectual nothing. We've seen her multiple times in public. She's incapable of uttering a coherent thought. much less presenting an argument. So they have to present her the way they are. They have to conceal her. If they could conceal her completely and not have her speak at all, the media and the Democrat Party would be in favor of that.
Ken?
Well, I'm going to disagree with some of the people here. I don't think that Kamala is dumb. I think she's fairly intelligent, except she's very, very lazy. I think that 6 months ago, if you asked her 6 countries surrounding Israel, perhaps she wouldn't know. I mean, everything she's tried, she's failed at. I mean, obviously, she never tried to close the border, but she was in charge of the border. She was also in charge of putting up electric charging stations, given a budget of $42 billion, and she was successful. She put up 8 of them. But I don't know, and like everything we've seen her, like for a while when she was in Europe, she was speaking at conferences with other leaders. It was an embarrassing joke.
Yeah. I'll add to your, I think she's also slick
Very slick.
and sly.
Yes.
Lorraine?
That's it. I can't really add much. That's all it. She's fake. Biden was no good. He was a terrible senator. We saw that years ago.
He's corrupt.
The fact that he's here, whoever is his puppet master is running the country right
So
now.
that we only have a few minutes to go now, but so who do you think? I mean, everything that I hear, the undercurrent, is that the Democrats really didn't want Harris. They were force-fed Harris based on their well, it was a coup. It was a successful coup to get Biden out of the office. But Biden also pulled a little bit of a fast one, and he anointed Kamala before they had their chance to say it will be. Who do you think they wanted? Quick answers. Do you have any sense of who the Democrats may have wanted to?
I don't think the Democrats are actually really running things. They have no bench to speak of.
Yeah.
They just have, they have a bunch of nobodies. So it doesn't matter. You replace Kamala with X, Y, and Z, you're going to get the same results.
Yeah. Mary, do you think they
They would
had?
have had to have waited for the convention to have somebody other than Kamala. I think Gavin Newsom was in the running. I mean, there was rumors about Michelle Obama, heaven forbid. But, there were
Yeah.
other people that.
Shapiro,
Yeah.
Gretchen Whitmer, John?
I think the proper image to evaluate both Kamala and the whole Democrat regime is taken from the Soviet Union in its later years, the Brezhnev period, when you had one apparatchik succeeding another one. They were all unmemorable individuals, but they were all committed to their system, and they all went down in the same corruption. So Dave may be right here that we're witnessing the corrupt ending of the Democrat Party. Of course, the problem is, and this is the imponderable, we are assuming that the electorate is looking at this with intelligent eyes.
Well,
And
that's
a
my
huge
fear.
proportion of the electorate anymore is people who are simply not educated and not interested, and this is even more true of the youngest generation, Generation Z.
That's my biggest fear,
Right.
and that's why
They're taken in by sound bites.
Yeah.
In
Ken?
emotion.
Right, in emotion.
I think Michelle Obama was the one that most of the Democrats would have felt most comfortable in office. And I thought she was going to be the candidate back in 2016. She wrote a book. She also gave the keynote speech at the 2020 Democratic Convention. So I thought she was chosen to be the nominee.
Well, I think whoever's pulling the strings is very lucky. Biden didn't say, I'm pulling out, I'm leaving. She's now the president. Because that would have meant a primary, and they never wanted a primary. They never had one. They worked they forced Bobby Kennedy to go pull out of the Democrat Party just to avoid a primary. So.
Yeah. Well, just one to just go on what John said. Has anybody ever seen the movie Idiocracy?
Yes.
Yes.
That's
Right.
pretty much what John is talking about, where the youth of the United States today has just dumbed themselves down to the point where they'll just believe sound bites and whatnot. Now let's talk about Kamala's vice president candidate, Tim Walz, governor of Minnesota. Do you think Kamala picked Walz because of his progressive socialist beliefs? And why do you think she didn't pick Josh Shapiro? I think we all know why she didn't pick Josh Shapiro, but what are your?
First of all, I don't think Kamala does the picking. I mean, she might say, "Oh, this is who I pick," but whoever's you were talking about, there's a puppet master on top. That's who picks and decides, and then tells Kamala, "Okay, that's who you're picking." So there's that.
I still think Obama pulls the strings. I really do. I think he's involved, but I can't. I agree with you. That that's all I can say.
I tend to agree with Dave on this, that she may not have made the pick herself, but I think ideologically she feels comfortable with Tim Walz. They seem to be both the same kind of people. They're both, he's a liar, we know this. He's lied about his stolen valor, he's lied about that. He hasn't told the truth about his connections and extreme connections with the Chinese. There's just an article out today about he's collaborated for years with a research facility run by the Chinese military. He's never been upfront about this. The guy, according to accounts from his own Minnesotans, he's a habitual liar. He tells people from the country, the Hicks in Minnesota, he's going to do such and such, and he actually does just the opposite. He's not a nice guy. In a way, he's a good pair for her in that sense.
Oh, I think that Tim is the Manchurian candidate. I mean, he's had ties with China, very close ties for 30 years. And the reason she picked him or somebody else picked him for her was they're bosom buddies. They're both Marxists, they're both communists. I mean, she wanted to put price controls on grocery stores. I mean, this is unbelievable.
When you talk like that, actually say a prayer for Kamala. I don't like her. I wish she'd go away. She's no model for any woman. You don't want your girl following in her footsteps. But she's in a really, really bad spot.
All right, we're very close to running on time. Very quick question, one-word answer from everybody. Robert F. Kennedy's decision to throw his support behind Trump, do you think that's going to be a positive for Trump or a negative?
Positive.
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 Well, I like that. I like that.
Along with Elon Musk.
Well, yeah. Trump has allied himself with a lot of really quality people, and I know there's a lot of people that don't like Elon Musk, but you can't help but admire the intellectual capacity and what he's done with his intellect. And we thank you for sitting in and watching Your Right to Know with the Fitchburg Republican City Committee. And, I think Andrew and I think I can speak for both of us when I say, wake up, America. We look at Venezuela, and just today I saw something about Venezuela, and it took 15 years for Venezuela to go from one of the most prosperous nations in the world to a third world country. 15 years because of socialism that was brought in by the policies. So we really have to watch. We're actually probably halfway there already, and I think in 4 more years, under a Kamala Harris, Tim Walz administration, we will be Venezuela. We will be on our way of Venezuela. So wake up, America. November is the choice between good and evil. And we thank you for sitting in tonight and watching Your Right to Know. And remember, your local city or town Republican committee is your only local organization, your grassroots organization that holds dear your rights to liberty and your conservative values. And we encourage you to join the Fitchburg Republican City Committee or any of your city or town Republican committees, because to us, GOP stands for growth, opportunity, and prosperity for all people, and because we always stand for freedom. Thank you and good night.
America, we stand for freedom. So let us all unite to yearn and strive for our republic that reflects that preserves our rights and goes forth in power and might, that reflects our values and preserves our